Hey everyone, Rick here, Big Gun 81. Hope you're all doing well today as always. And today we're going to do a little video on how to install an AR-10 handguard. You might remember the handguard installation that we did on this AR-15 here using a DR Guns out of Lake Zurich, Illinois. One of their handguards. It's a 15-inch handguard. And this installation will be very similar. We got a couple keynotes I want to kind of mention about it and so forth, how it's a little bit different. But just compare, this is their new 18-inch handguard that's coming out for the AR-10. You can see it's a little bit longer, which I think is going to match up really well with our Spinta Precision 20-inch barrel that we're going to be using for the AR-10 build. So let's go check it out. So here we have our Aero Precision upper receiver that we're using for this build. Now, I'd like to mention that the AR-10, for those of you who don't know this, doesn't have mil specs like the AR-15, which means that companies have different tolerances and variances on their components. Now, there is two basic designs, I guess you could kind of say, or patterns. There's the AR-10, Armalite pattern, and then there's the DPMS 308 pattern. Some of these components will work together, some will not, and that's a whole nother video. But for today's purposes, one of the things I want to mention is with using the DR Guns handguard, you can see there's two tabs, anti-rotation tabs if you want to call them that are designed to align themselves on the upper receiver and kind of keep the handguard from being allowed to turn if it loosens up and so forth. Well, the problem is you can kind of guess from here that the distance between these two is a little bit too narrow for the width of the upper receiver. In fact, Aero actually has a little ridge, raised portion that kind of runs down the whole length of the upper receiver. Not that there's anything wrong with the design. Aero Precision makes great quality stuff, so don't think I'm talking poorly about their products. It's not the case. Nor am I talking poorly about DR Guns products. It's just a fact that in some cases between different manufacturers you have fitment issues like this. Now, having said that, there is something you can do about this which will definitely help, and I like this idea because, one, if these two tabs on here fit too loosely, then that really kind of takes away from the whole anti-rotation purpose of them. So what we can do is take a file and just do a 45 chamfer on both sides of this very lightly, just removing enough material to allow for proper clearancing. This will also give us a nice tight fit so that we won't have any rotation going on with our upper receiver. So I went ahead and just removed some material on here, just kind of filed away at it evenly, just to basically just allow for enough clearance to slide this on to the upper receiver like so. So next we're going to go ahead and install our barrel. We've got a 20-inch Spinta Precision 308 barrel here. Just slips right in like that. Got the barrel nut from DR Guns. And what's really cool about this barrel nut is that you can see it's a very slim profile. And as I slip it over here, you're going to kind of see where the gas tube runs in, there's no interference with the barrel nut, which means no shims required, nothing. There's no indexing required to index the handguard onto this barrel nut whatsoever. Basically just clamps on right over the barrel nut, and of course indexes with the two tabs that we saw that we had to file down a little bit for this receiver set. And we go ahead and torque that down. Another cool thing about this barrel nut is it uses just a standard AR armorer's wrench. Just use the tabs you'd use for your castle nut on your buffer tube. So I'm going to go ahead and torque this down. I'll go grab my torque wrench, torque it up the rest of the way, and we'll come back and do the rest. So after you get your barrel nut torqued down to proper specs, you can go ahead and install the gas block and gas tube on here. I kind of pre-installed my gas tube before I went ahead and did this. And just like so, make sure you line up the gas port with the gas block. I'm going to use some thread locker on the two screws here and install those. So now we got the gas block and gas tube installed, you can go ahead and install the handguard. Notice I left the muzzle brake off. I'm going to put that on it last. Next, we can go ahead and install the muzzle device. So there you have it. Pretty basic, simple install. And again, only special tool you need is an AR-15 armorer's wrench to tighten down that barrel nut. And speaking of the barrel nut, again, one of the coolest things about this handguard, you don't have to index that barrel nut whatsoever to the gas block. That is one headache that you don't have to deal with this handguard. Really nice. Also, the quality of this handguard, it's really well made, really well machined, feels really nice in the hands. Can't wait to use it here. And speaking of the design of it and everything, again, this is the 18-inch version that they have, and I know they have other lengths and so forth of their handguards. You have to check it out, drgunsllc.com, I believe is the website. And one of the things I want to mention, if you look at the top of the rail, it's cut down some of the weight. You might be able to see there's holes in between each of the slots of the rail there, which is kind of neat, kind of a cool part of the design and so forth. And I may mention the M-Lok. If you want to add like a bipod or another rail or some other accessory, you can do that with the M-Lok on the bottom and the right and left sides of the handguard. So pretty sweet setup, and go check them out, drgunsllc.com. Hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have fun shooting.